Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Canadian and Barbadian national anthems.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. In plenty and in time of need, when this fair land was young, our brave forefathers sowed the seed from which our pride is sprung.
That binds our hearts from coast to coast.
The pride of nationhood. These hills and hills beyond we call. We rise on history's face with expectations great. Straight guardians of our heritage, firm bastion of
Good evening, everyone. My name is Riva Goodman, and I have the pleasure of being your host for the We Gathering For Our Heroes virtual event. Now, before we get started, like every good Bayesian event, we have to start off by giving thanks to the Almighty. So to lead us in prayer, please welcome the director of the BTMI, Mr. Peter Mayers.
Let us pray. Almighty and everlasting God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this evening as we reflect on our beloved Barbados and pay homage to our heroes, both national and unsung, whose contribution has undoubtedly paved the way for Barbados' development. Continue to bless our heroes. Those whose earthly course is finished, may they continue to enjoy eternal rest. And those whose earthly journey continues, may they continue to be uplifted and strengthened in the knowledge of your presence and unending love. We ask you to bless our production team and our entertainers and all who will contribute to our celebration this evening. We commend this event to you and pray that all that is said and done this evening will be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. These things we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Peter. Now, I did say my name was Riva Goodman, but I didn't formally introduce myself, and my parents taught me to have good manners. After all, we have 2 hours together, and I'd like for us to get comfortable. My family immigrated to Canada in 1981 with dreams of a better life for themselves and their growing family. They made sure to hold on to their Bayesian roots. It was very important that myself and my brother knew just where we came from. So much so that they made sure that I had my Bajan citizenship at a very young age. I spent many a summer at my grandparents' house in Britons Hill, running about with my cousins and going to my favorite beach, Browns Beach. One of my fondest memories would have to be watching my cousins as they expertly climbed a mango tree while I waited at the bottom to collect all of the mangoes. So when Team Barbados reached out to me to host this special event, I was shocked, but also extremely honored that me, a Canadian-born Bajan, would get the opportunity to host such a special event. After all, it's these national heroes that paved the way for Barbados and helped to mold me into the proud Bajan woman that I am today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to be here with you this evening. Now we're gonna have a great time. So sit back, maybe grab a drink, and join me for a night of celebration. To get us started for the evening, I'd like to welcome the Consul General of Barbados to Canada, Sonia Marvel Carter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my pleasure to bring greetings today at the start of our We Gatherin For Our Heroes event. Back in 2019, we would have embarked on our first Barbados National Heroes celebration, well, at least since I was Consul General in Canada. But then we had to skip 2020, or maybe it was more like 2020 skipped us. Really not sure about that. But as we embrace the use of technology and we seek to celebrate virtually, our team members thought it was fitting that we recognize not just our national heroes, but celebrate our unsung heroes at this time as well. Therefore, at this, the inaugural presentation of these awards, we congratulate all of the awardees and we look forward to new submissions from the diaspora for 2022. In 2019, we were able to have sweetbread competition and Bajan drink competition, and there was plenty of food and drinks flowing on that occasion. This year, we hope that you have prepared your snack and you have a drink ready to enjoy an evening with us. I know this will be done during the vote of thanks, but I really must thank the committee who worked so hard to ensure that this year's celebrations are a good mix of enlightenment and entertainment, as it is always necessary to have a good balance. Last Sunday's worship service with the James Street Methodist Church started our celebrations off just right, so we expect this evening is going to be fantastic as well. Therefore, on behalf of Team Barbados here in Canada, we thank you for joining us and we hope you will enjoy all that is in store, as well as learn a few things along the way about our national heroes, of course. My job is now done and I will get comfortable with a glass of maybe rum, maybe Mobby, not sure yet, but I will get comfortable with a beverage and enjoy the event.
Thank you, CG. Now you may have seen the ads talking about us celebrating our national heroes, but you don't know what we have in store for you. Well, let me break it down. We'll be recognizing our 10 national heroes as well as unsung heroes nominated by you. We've also got some dancing, a little bit of music, and of course, Biggie Irie. This ain't a normal event. So to start us off, let's get right to it. Biggie Irie.
I think they inject me liver, buried in my soul. Cause no matter day or hour, I always in soca mode. Yes, they inject me liver, buried in my soul. Cause no matter day or hour, oh, where in this world will you ever go and find a bunch of happy people who like to lime and party? Hurricane coming, but we still having a time. In the middle of the road, watch how we jam and wine. I say, personally, here between you and me is the melody and the chemistry makes me get on bad and so rude sometimes. And me say back and all this the word, and the feeling can never bring it out of this world. Cause if you look up in heaven right now, they would be jamming for soca. Angels would be spreading their wings, playing mass and parading for soca. If I have to sell my car, sell my van, or give up my house and land just to hear pan pan patanka tanka tanka tanka, give me the rhythm, they could throw me in jail. I will be jamming for soca, ain't give me no bail. I will be jamming for soca. If I have to sell my car, sell my van, or give up my house and land just to hear pan pan ka-tan, 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 ka-tan. I think they inject me liver, buried in my soul, cause no matter day or hour, I always in soca mode. Yes, they inject me liver, buried in my soul, cause no matter day or hour, we party hard like no one alive. It's straight to fretting from we 8 to 5. We party. If you say lime, we don't study time. Outside in the road, we go jam and bust a wine. I say, personally here between you and me, they could come and offer me big money to leave this party. I decline. And me say back and all this the word, and the feeling carnival bring it out of this world. Cause if you look up in heaven right now, they would be jamming for soca. Angels would be spreading their wings, playing mass and parading for soca. If I have to sell my car, sell my van, or give up my house and land just to hear pan pan pa-tan, ka-tan, 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 they made the rhythm, they could throw me in jail. I will be jamming for soca, ain't give me no bail. I will be jamming for soca. If I have to sell my car, sell my van, or give up my house and land just to hear pan pan ka-tan, 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 ka-tan. I think they inject me liver, buried in my soul, cause no matter day or hour, I always in soca mode. Yes, they inject me liver, buried in my soul, cause no matter day or hour, if you look up in heaven right now, heaven right now, if I have to sell my car, sell my van, just to hear pan pan pa-tan, ka-tan, 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 pan pan pa-tan, ka-tan, ka-tan, ka-tan.
Yes, Biggie, give me the rhythm. I told you we were gonna have fun tonight. Now let's get to our first national heroes and unsung heroes. The first of our national heroes is the Right Excellent Bussa. Now, as the Bajans would say, a man like Bussa knew that the Haitians had their freedom, and he was going to ensure that by Christmas, he and the other enslaved Bajans had theirs as well. Check it out.
It was Christmas, 1815, and word had come from England. Wilberforce and his cause finally received the blessing of the king. And the arranger on the part of a privileged slave class, usually made up of literate slaves who were skillful both in language and artistry. P. Washington Franklin was a colored man who lived at Vineyard Plantation very close to Belize. He was in the habit of reading to us extracts from the newspapers of the day. Word had come that we will get our freedom. People in Haiti had their freedom and we wanted ours too. If by Christmas 1815 and it did not come, we will have to fight for it. I was the chief organizer of this revolt, but I had to be quiet about it, so I gave roles to persons. John would spread news, and Nanny Griggs at Harrow Plantation was very militant and believed that we had to fight for our freedom. Now there were some Barbadian planters like the Lascelles family who owned many plantations. They were spending money to get rid of Mr. Wilberforce in the British House of Parliament because he was representing us. I made up my mind that the plantations owned by Mr. Lascelles would be attacked first in the revolt. The free-colored were more concerned about themselves than with helping us. They wanted to get their freedom and help the white people. So when a free-colored like Mr. Franklin was willing to work with us, we decided that after the revolt, we would make Mr. Franklin our governor. We as slaves wanted our rights too. And the only right we wanted was freedom, and the only way to get it was to fight for it. We knew it was difficult to win, but we were willing to sacrifice our lives. News reached the militia's headquarters at the garrison approximately 2 a.m. the Sunday night, but the rallying of the troops could not be completed before 10 a.m. By then, fire was burning at many plantations in St. Philip. In Christchurch, these felt the first blow of the militia, which consisted of the 1st West India Regiment. St. John, St. George and St. Lucy were also ablaze. An emancipation statue was erected to honor me in 1985. Finally, on April 28th, 1998, under the Owen Arthur BLP government, my gigantic portrait was unveiled as the first of 10 national heroes of Barbados.
Unsung hero Leonora Benjamin immigrated to Canada in 1975. Leonora has been very active in her community over the past 45 years, offering her administrative and organizational expertise to assist with community organizations. A committed Anglican, Leonora has been a member of Christ Church, Scarborough Village for the past 45 years, serving in a number of capacities. I have had the pleasure of knowing Leonora since I was a little girl, and let me tell you, she is one of a kind, a beautiful soul inside and out.
Hello, my name is Leonora Benjamin, Leonora Aline Benjamin. I am Barbadian, of course, born and bred in St. Philip. I have always, I think for most of my life, been involved in volunteer work of some kind or another. And I say that because with parents like mine, Clinton and Eileen Allen, for whom volunteering and altruism and commitment to the community was almost part of their DNA. So it was inevitable that we would all 7 of us, have been committed to always volunteering, doing our best to make our communities the best that they could be in any way that we could help. I was involved very much with my church all my life, and through the church, the various youth groups, volunteer groups, and all the rest of it through the church. And fast forward to the last 46 years in Canada, I have been involved in so many different organizations with Tropicana Community Services in their fledgling days and their work with the youth in the community. My church, Christ Church, Scarborough, the Modern Life Association, Caribbean Chorale of Toronto, more recently, the Caribbean event. I always try in any way I can to do what I can to help the youth in our community. I have mentored so many young people. I have assisted them with my background in human resources, assisting them in preparation of resumes, preparing for interviews. It is difficult, it is impossible right now to meet personally, but it is still important, I think, to reach out to the community in any ways that you can. People who are alone that you know of, people who are ill, people who may need assistance that you can do without having to get together with them, even if it's as much as a phone call to check up to see how they're doing. I was also involved in teaching English as a second language and visiting and volunteering at one of the senior citizen centers. Our parents always told us it is not so much what you get out of it, it is what you put into it. And even though it can be exhausting, even though at times it can be frustrating, at the end of the day, the feeling that you have helped to make your little part of the universe a little bit better through your efforts, then I think it's all worth it. I have not won, too given to awards and all the rest of it, but honestly, it is good to be recognized for what you do. It is good to think that someone feels that what you do is worthy of recognition. And for that, I'm humble and I'm grateful.
Our next national hero is the Right Excellent Charles Duncan O'Neill. A well-educated and privileged Bajan recognized that there was inequalities within his country and was not going to stand for it. Let's see what he did.
Many wondered why. Why would I, a member of the privileged class in Barbadian 20th century society, be so dedicated to the poor and fight against the deep-seated racism the planter class perpetuated against the blacks in education, religion, at the workplace, and in housing in the 1920s and 1930s. My parents were Joseph and Catherine O'Neill. I was born in 1879 and grew up on the family's Friendship Plantation in St. Lucie. I attended Trent's Primary, then the Parry School, and went on to Harrison College. Working hard, my school life was very rewarding. Really doing well, I placed second in Barbados Scholarship exam in 1899. My dad chose Edinburgh University in Scotland for me to study medicine. I was very successful. Whilst in Scotland, I met and befriended Keir Hardie of the Independent Labour Party, who helped to pique my interest in politics. In 1910, on arriving home, depression got the better of me over the conditions in which the majority were faced to exist. Forming the Democratic League was a good move for me in October 1924, when C.A. Chrissy Brathwaite was elected to the House of Assembly to represent St. Michael. 2 years later, in 1926, I founded the Working Men's Association and was winning my seat in the House of Assembly in 1932. You can imagine how it felt to defeat H.B.G. Austin, a prominent merchant, be it only by one vote. Actually, Sir Grantley, after 1934, proposed to revive the political movement among the masses, which I started, and 2 years after my passing on November 19th, 1936, he built impressively on my foundation of social reform. Indeed, Barbados remembers me and has highly honored me by placing my portrait on the $10 note on one of the 2 bridges in Bridgetown. The Charles Duncan O'Neill Bridge bears my name.
Unsung hero Charles Duncan Waterman, not to be confused with national hero Charles Duncan O'Neill, is an award-winning realtor servicing the Greater Toronto Area. God, family, and service to others stand at the core of his existence. Business is the tool from which he secures the ability to support his community through various charities and social conscious groups.
I'm Charles Duncan Waterman. I'm a real estate agent here in Canada, and I'm also a Bajan. That's always good to know. I just see my flags, right? I am, first of all, so proud and so thankful and so blessed to have been nominated to be one of our unsung heroes. Thank you all so very much. As a realtor here in Toronto, I have had the privilege of working with several Barbadians, with COVID, but then also recently with the volcanic eruption from Le Soufrière in St. Vincent that has caused some challenges. But I tell you, as Bajans, we are resilient and we will get through this as well. I'm so pleased to be working with several organizations here in the Durham region of Toronto to really touch on a topic that's really dear to my heart, and that is homelessness. As a realtor, I allow and I work with people and help them find a home, but sometimes there are so many people out there who are also in need of homes, and that is one of our major issues. Some of the advantages of being a realtor really is that it gets me out there in the community and I really see firsthand some of the challenges that the public faces. Recently, I've had the opportunity to be involved in the Black community here in the Durham region through the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce. And that is an organization that allows us really to use and cooperate with businesses to use their resources to uplift and to help those who are also in need. So this has been a wonderful opportunity for me as a realtor to be involved in these different organizations and so on. But I think that my biggest joy comes from the ability to be able to help fellow Bajans transition from Barbados to living here in Canada, to purchase homes here in Canada, and vice versa, for Bajans living here to sell their properties and move back to Barbados. So I believe that that's one of the things that I'm really most proud about, being instrumental and to be that conduit to assist in that process. So I thank you all so very much for the nomination. I'm so excited and so pleased to be accepting this award. On behalf of my wife and my family, I thank you all so very much, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and all those fellow Barbadians and fellow Caribbean people affected by this tragic volcanic activity over the past few days. Okay, God bless you all. Continue success. All the best to you. Charles Duncan Waterman, all the best. Bye-bye.
Y'all like what I did there with the Charles and Charles? You see what we have going on tonight. We're going to have a little bit of education, talking about our national heroes, and of course, some music.
Jam you go get we celebrating. She says she having fun, she not leaving till the sun is rising. And there's no compromising. The friends see what's going on, start pressuring the man. Why you don't leave she alone? She having fun, look how she whining. Man, you should be crying. Cause she not going home till the morning comes. And we not going home till we see the sun. Say we not going home till the morning comes.
Oh, I miss home. Well, don't let me get off track. We have 2 more national heroes and 2 more unsung heroes. The Right Excellent Clement Osborne Payne seemed to be a real cool cat. 3 things he said: educate, agitate, but do not violate.
Educate, agitate, but do not violate. Many remember me by these words. My name is Clement Osborne Payne. I was the 3rd of the 5 children of Barbadians George and Adriana Payne. Living in Passage Road, Bridgetown, I was educated at Wesley Hall Boys School and Bay Street Boys School. I started working at 16 as a junior clerk in Bridgetown. I had a passion for reading, and my spare time was spent doing that, and observing all that I could. This awakened my consciousness to the new political and democratic awareness that Clennell Wickham and Dr. Charles Duncan O'Neill were helping to inculcate in Barbados. My early 20s saw me relocating to Trinidad. I had reasoned that as Trinidad was much bigger than Barbados, I could do much more there. Feeling like a stranger among strange people, I only stayed there a short period because I didn't really understand the people or their doings. I never attempted to find out. But to my greatest surprise, I found myself back in Trinidad 3 years after my trial visit. It was then that I started moving in a circle of ambitious and politically motivated young men, and joined a branch of the Marcus Garvey Universal Negro Improvement Association. Fired with zeal, I developed myself as a public speaker. During the next 10 years, I assisted in organizing the first trade union in Trinidad and a local affiliate of the ANC. Monday, July 26, I was taken to court and single-handedly won the appeal on the false declaration charge. Adams had not shown up. However, the expulsion order remained. Hours passed as I waited, imprisoned to hear about the expulsion order. Word finally came. The governor had not rescinded the order. I was arrested on arrival in Trinidad for having forbidden literature. In exactly 4 months to the date of my arrival, things had definitely changed. Here, because of this heightened awareness, there would be more legal and social reforms. Death finally caught up with me on April 7th, 1941, after I suddenly collapsed while addressing a meeting in Port of Spain. My memory lives on and would be engraved on the landscape of Barbados in the Clement Payne Center.
Unsung hero Cheryl Yearwood was born and raised in Messiah Street, St. John's, Barbados. She immigrated to Canada in 1991. Cheryl currently lives in Malton, Ontario, my old stomping grounds. Pre-COVID, their home was a welcoming spot for family and friends to laugh and share meals. This was Cheryl's way of serving her community on weekends after working all week with her patients.
My name is Cheryl Yearwood. I have been here in Canada for almost maybe 30 years now, very long time. And I am employed with the Toronto General at this moment. I work in environmental services, which is basically for most people housekeeping. I work with a bed team in the ICU, and I've been doing it for about 14 years now, and I love it. I mean, it brings an opportunity to meet a whole lot of people, unfortunately sick ones, as well as people's family. You know, you get to see the family as well. And sometimes you have to calm somebody every once in a while. My motivation for being there is, you know, I do love to help people. I like the idea of interacting with them. And, you know, at least sometimes I'm called upon, you know, for a task or two that is sometimes out of my reach, and I'm okay with that as well. First, I never felt like I could work in a hospital because I always thought blood. That's my only thought, blood. And I thought, how would I handle such a thing? And then as I learn and do my research on, you know, being employed with the hospital, I realized that I don't really see a lot of blood, but I do see a lot of, you know, sick people in there. And with being in the ICU, you see everything. It's an honor. It really is. This is really my first time being nominated for anything, and I'm a little nervous, but I know that if I'm being nominated, there's a lot of work out there to be done, especially working in the hospital is a lot. It is a lot of a turnaround. So many different things are happening right now. You know, I urge a lot of you that do not really take it very serious to understand it's not just about you, or it's not just about me. It's about, you know, we all have to band together so that we can fight this pandemic, because it takes out anything and anyone that's in its way. We are not immune, or we are not invincible to this pandemic. Once everybody comes together and understand what we're doing, then we get to understand what we're dealing with.
All of our national heroes are near and dear to our hearts. But as I said, I spent many a summer at my grand's house. And that's why, when I think of this national hero, I think of that picture that my grandfather hung so high with pride in our kitchen. The right excellent arrow barrel, to me, means independence. A man who stood to his word. We will be friends of all, but satellites of none.
Some say talk is cheap. Others say sticks and stones break bones, but words can never hurt. Not so in my case. By the end of my story, you'd see why I say not so. Can you imagine me, a man from a tiny 166 square mile island nation, just granted independence from the imperialist Great Britain, at the General Assembly of the United Nations, tell the superpowers, we will be friends of all but satellites of none? Some hail me as the father of independence, others Dipper, but I am Errol Walton Barrow. My first speech in the House of Assembly, we were debating a bill to establish third-party insurance. However, I would not be confined to that single matter under discussion, and I said, being trained under Professor Harold Lasky, it was rather difficult for the leadership of the BLP to keep me in check, and within a few years a rift developed. Myself and a few others, including Frank Walcott, were at loggerheads with Grantley Adams, the leader, over the pace of reform and direction of policy. Under my leadership, Barbados would play a major role in Caribbean integration. One achievement was the formation of the Caribbean Free Trade Area, CARIFCA, in 1965, with Barbados, Antigua and Guyana being the first to sign. The others joined in 1968. My efforts saw the introduction of a national insurance and social security scheme and school meals on an improved nutritional basis, improved health services, and the opening of the QEH hospital, accelerated industrial development, and considerable expansion of the tourist industry. That decade had seen the increase from a single to a multi-sector economy: agriculture, tourism, and manufacturing. In tribute, a senator who later rose to Deputy Prime Minister said of me, "He has now joined the ranks of those heroes fallen on the battlefield. He died not in retirement, but at the helm of this country." I think that this should be the lesson and instruction that we learn from his life, that we must press on toward that goal which we set ourselves. There are many landmarks that pay tribute to my memory. A memorial park in Wildy, the ABC Highway, which I share with JMGM Tom Adams and H. Gordon Cumming. My birthday, January 21st, is also celebrated as a public holiday.
Unsung hero Lisita Springer was born and raised in Westbury Road, also known as Rihanna Drive. She immigrated to Canada in 1979. Throughout the pandemic, Lisita has been transporting patients, including those infected with COVID-19, to and from special treatment areas. Thank you for your help during this time, Lisita.
My name is Lisita Springer, and I've been working at Mount Sinai for about 17.5 years as a transporter. Well, I started off as a service assistant, you know, and then positions come. I said, "But I want to be a transporter." You're transporting the patients to the tests and so on. I'm enjoying it. You know, some of them might be a little, for some of them be a little scaredy, you know, at least I give them a little word of encouragement. Some they say, "Did you ever have some such a thing then, CT?" I said, "No, but I'm scared." I said, "Well, don't be scared. I took other people there and they were fine." You know? Okay, I like interacting with the patients, right? Like I said, and giving them a word of encouragement, trying to calm their fears too. It keeps me going, and they keeps them going in these times, in these trying times now that we're going through. All the different restrictions. You got to make sure you wash your hands, you got on your PPE, you do the same thing all the time, mask up, gun up, just to make sure that you're safe. Because at the end of the day, you got to go home to your family too, you know, just to make sure that keeping everybody safe there. It's tough, but you know, I enjoy doing it. I feel good. I'm just trying to do my service to help somebody. Like the guy says, you know, if you can help somebody while you're here, you know, because as they say, you only pass this way once, so if you can help someone, then your living will not be in vain, right?
Miss Springer, you are too sweet. As I watched your video, I could feel your love for helping others and how much you genuinely just care. Thank you for all that you do. Now, we're going to get back to some more dancing. Ladies and gentlemen, Biggie Irie.
It's who bring the vibes in here, Lord, Lord, Lord. Send them out, send them out, send them out, yeah. There's a place with plenty love, I'm here, so I'm sure you'll make it. See this atmosphere of love does bring so much smiling faces. Bring me a bottle of rum, so this party can done. Only Sansi and sun, yeah, and people whining. It makes you feel better when we come together. Celebrate the culture, 'cause I love my island. Every part of it I know, I in love with it just so. Every single place we go, I love my island. And the fun don't stop, the fun can't stop if the party stop. We going home but we jumping up, oh can you feel it? I love my island. We going for days, we fetching away. We having a time, 'cause I love my island. We come here to play, let me celebrate. Come just break away, It's like a million faces, it's like a million races. See how we move as one. It's like a million people driving in one vehicle. See how we move. Bring me a bottle of rum so this party can done. Only sun, sea and sun, yeah. And people whining, it makes you feel better when we come together, celebrate the culture. Cause I love my island, every part of it I know. I in love with it just so, every single place we go. I love my island, and the fun don't stop, the fun can't stop if the party stop. We going home but we jumping up, oh can you feel it? I love my island, we going for this, we fitting away, we having a time. Cause I love my island, we come here to play, let me celebrate, come just break away, yeah. They can take this how they want, just know that we are the greatest. When it comes to masquerading, tell them it's we who make it. Bring me a bottle of rum so this party can done. Only sun, sea and sun, yeah. And people whining, it makes you feel better when we come together, celebrate the culture. Cause I love my island, every part of it I know. I in love with it just so, every single place we go. I love my island, and the fun don't stop, the fun can't stop if the party stop. We going home but we jumping up, oh can you feel it? I love my island, we going for this, we fitting away, we having a time. Cause I love my island, we come here to play, let me celebrate, come just break away,
Big up to Team Barbados in Canada for giving me this opportunity to get a little bit closer to Barbados. I haven't been in a while, and as you can tell, I am going through some withdrawals. Sorry, I get off track here. The music is getting me. We have another national hero and unsung hero. The Right Excellent Sir Frank Leslie Walcott, a man of the people, a Labour leader. And what really blows my mind, this man was making $16 per month for a while. What is that?
I was born on September 16th, 1916 in St. Peter. I was raised by my mother since my father died when I was still an infant. Her name was Marion Walcott. She was a plantation laborer. While I was still young, my mom took the bold step of leaving the life she knew in St. Peter to become a domestic in Bridgetown. I attended Wesley Hall Boys School. In 1945, an invitation from Hugh Springer, which I accepted, gave me the opportunity to join the staff of the Progressive League and the Barbados Workers' Union. 1 year later, I was confirmed as assistant to the General Secretary Hugh Springer, earning $16 a month. On July 25th, 1948, I was formally elected as the General Secretary of the BWU, a position I would hold for over 4 decades until my retirement at the end of 1991. In 1953, I was a delegate to the International Labour Organization's Plantations Conference held in Havana with Dr. Eric Williams as my advisor. Here I was able to rub shoulders with people in business, government, and the trade union movements all over the world. That same year, I was elected to the executive board of the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions and became vice president in 1969. I also later became a trustee of the American Institute for Free Labor Development, and in 1980 helped to pioneer the establishment of the Commonwealth Trade Union Council. I was made an officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, and many years later, in 1987, was conferred an honorary Doctor of Laws degree by the Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies. Later that year, the government of Barbados approached me about awarding me the accolade of knighthood. I was initially hesitant as to whether a Labour leader and a committed reformer should accept an honour that originated in the colonial system. However, I was able to accept it because it was a Barbadian knighthood and had to be awarded by the Queen. Errol Barrow had established a special order of honours for Barbados, and I was persuaded to accept it on behalf of the Labour Union, regardless of my personal feelings. After my retirement, the Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford government had decided that the new National Insurance building was to be named in my honor. Although being diabetic and both of my legs had been amputated, this could not prevent me from being present at that official opening. On April 28, 2003, a statue bearing my likeness was erected on the same compound. My life ended on February 24th, 1999, and quite fittingly, I was laid in state at Solidarity House.
Unsung hero Miss Evelyn, or Diane as she is fondly known, was employed by the Barbados Consulate for many years. She was known to collect clothes and often purchase clothes to give persons visiting or migrating to Canada during the winter months. At one time, Diane kept a suitcase of winter sweaters and warm clothing at the consulate to give to persons who visited the consulate that she thought were not adequately dressed for the winter weather.
My name is Diane Evelyn. I'm a Barbadian. I was living in Canada for over 50 years. Well, I've been doing this for about 25 years or so. I've been sending barrels and food stuff and everything to Barbados to help the less fortunate people. And I enjoy doing it. And I got help from most of the CGs, as we would call them. And it was Leroy McLean, Kay McConney, and the assistant Marva Scott. I have a lot from myself. I felt blessed to have more than enough, so I wanted to reach out and help. Every time I came home to Barbados and I saw how many people I could help, it made me want to do more. And the people were so thankful. I'm elated. I feel very, very good. I really love to know that I am appreciated at what I do, what I did, and what I will do. I will continue to do it as long as I can.
Gary Sobers, when you call his name, you are speaking about the
Right Excellent Sir Garfield Sobers, one of the greatest Barbadian athletes to ever live, and the only living national hero. Such a great athlete that it took 30 years for his 365 not out record to be broken.
Emil Straker and his merrymen once sang a song about me. Gary Sobers, when you call his name, he's the greatest cricketer the world has ever seen. Who would have ever thought that the slender tall lad from a depressed village, Walcott Avenue, Bayland, now known as Bayville, would become a local hero and international icon? It all started with encouragement from Garnet Ashby to play cricket for Kent. Family attended service at St. Paul's Anglican Church. Before 10 years old, I was one of the stars in cricket at my school. I remember in 1946, in a match with St. Matthias, we bowled them out very cheap in both innings, and then Jerry and I, in an unbeaten first wicket partnership of over 100, won the match. By age 13, I was playing BCL cricket with the big boys. Because of Dennis Atkinson and bowling my left-hand spin with Wanderers only in the nets, Inspector Wilfred Farmer, who was a former Wanderers player then, captain of the police, gave me a pick with them. Thanks to Frank King, a West Indies fast bowler, needing rest, I got my first shot to play for Barbados. In 1954, I made my international debut in the 5th and final test against England in Jamaica. For the next 20 years, I would have an unforgettable time in centre and off the field, making some records like 365 not out, that would take some 36 years to be broken by another West Indian lefty, Brian Lara. In 1966 at Lords, along with my cousin David Holford, handled the English attack to establish the 6-wicket record of 274 and 6 sixes in a single 6-ball over. When one speaks of the best batsmen, I am sure to be shortlisted among them. The same happens for the best bowler. But as for the best all-rounder or the greatest cricketer the world has seen, it is my belief it would top the list. For these achievements, Barbados has been very gracious to me, naming the indoor sports gymnasium and a roundabout after me. They also erected a statue of me, and it now rests at Kensington Oval, having been moved from the roundabout. I am honored to have served not only my country, but also the world, placing Barbados in the annals of world sporting history. My 2 sons, Daniel and Matthew, and daughter Genevieve, whom my wife Prudence gave me, are my pride and joy.
Gary Sobers, when you call his name, you are speaking about the...
Unsung hero Gloria Osborne is a state registered nurse in the UK and a registered nurse in Canada. She served in many positions with the Toronto General Hospital before retiring as supervising nurse. While at the Toronto General Hospital, she amassed numerous professional contacts with medical specialists and has quietly used her influence to get early appointments with such specialists for members of the Barbadian diaspora and others, thus saving them months of otherwise waiting times. She has also assisted the Caribbean Event family and the Grant Morris Foundation in this respect.
I was born in Barbados in 1937, and then I left there and went to England to study nursing. I became a nurse in England and then transferred into Canada, where I had to do over the nursing course because in those days that was the thing you had to do. And I worked at Toronto General for 34 years. And I was a regular nurse on the floor for about, I guess 2 years, 2 or 3 years, I can't remember exactly. But then I became a nursing supervisor. And I was in charge of the whole hospital, mostly on nights. I worked night duty. Enjoyed my job tremendously, met some excellent people, loved it. Nothing negative at all. And basically that has been my life. I sat on a lot of committees. One was in the community, which was one that looked after drugs coming into the system, new drugs. As a matter of fact, the committee is still going at the moment, at this time. And I've enjoyed every moment of that. I'm in a wheelchair now. And I'm still getting my head around trying to accept that. But I am trying to adjust. So I've been impacted by not being able to help people. So far, I haven't had any, I've had a desire to help, but I cannot do it anymore. So if anyone needs any questions answered or direction or something, I can give them that, but I am not able to help in any other way, not a physical way anymore. Very honored and very humbled. I cannot believe it, to tell the truth, because although I know I've done a lot of work, I wasn't think I was worthy of that. But I thank you very much, because I really am tickled pink.
Thank you, Gloria, for all that you do for the Barbadian Canadian community. We truly appreciate you. Y'all having a good time? Y'all enjoying these videos? Did you know that the Ministry of Education actually created these videos to sensitize the children and teach them about their national heroes? I mean, they may have been made for children, but I really enjoying them, and I hope you are too. What comes to mind when you think of our next national hero? Perhaps it's a $100 bill, or maybe the fact that he was the first Premier of Barbados. For me, when I think of the Right Excellent Sir Grantley Adams, I think about the moment when the airplane lands. And of course I clap. and the doors open and your face gets hit by that hot, salty air because you've landed at the Grantley Adams International Airport. For me, I cannot wait for the day that I could dip my toe in the Browns Beach water. But for now, we'll get this chance to gather together. Let's learn a little bit more about the Right Excellent Sir Grantley Adams.
You asked me what's my name. Every Barbadian who has held a $100 note in his hand knows my name, but I'll tell you none the same. My name is Grantley Herbert Adams. Much could be said of me, I guess, but there's one thing for sure. I was a Barbadian first and foremost. He became the first Premier of Barbados, and later the only Prime Minister of the now defunct West Indies Federation. I was born on April 28, 1898. Since the 1870s, elementary or primary education was available for children from 5 to 16 years old at the cost of 2 cents a week. Now, I won a scholarship to Harrison College studying the classics, then went on to win the Barbados Scholarship in 1918, 1 year after my father's death. My scholarship took me to St. Catherine College, Oxford, where I succeeded in reading for my honours degree in the classics and in law. I was indeed influenced by the political philosophy of liberalism during my university years, and on my returning to Barbados in 1925, found that the spirit of democracy had been aroused in the West Indies, including Barbados. At that time, the caste-like community had things set, where the white planter merchant class ruled through the House of Assembly and the governor in executive committee. I entered the House of Assembly in 1934, only 36 at the time. In 1940, under my leadership, we, the BLP, known then as the Barbados Progressive League, won 5 of the 24 seats in the House of Assembly. Many saw me as one who was bought off when I accepted the governor's appointment as one of his executive committee. Then, when I represented UK's delegation as exclusive spokesperson on colonial and trusteeship matters at the UN General Assembly in Paris, because of the position I took against Russian policy, they dubbed me, alongside and at times against Bustamante of Jamaica and Eric Williams of Trinidad, breathed my last breath on November 28th that same year, 1971. And my remains were laid to rest at the St. Michael's Cathedral.
Unsung hero Adriana Husbands has been an avid volunteer in several roles at the Church of Epiphany and St. Mark's. She spends her free time with her husband, Malcolm, and 3 children, Juliana, Jamila, and Jaleesa, and her daughter-in-law, Stephanie. Retirement happily awaits Adriana in January of 2022, and I'm sure she'll be filling her time with much more volunteer work.
My name is Adriana Husbands. My maiden name was Moore. I am employed with RBC Royal Bank as a client advisor. I've been in this position for 19 years at the Jane and Shoreham branch in the Jane and Finch community. The branch is located in a diverse community in regards to race, culture, ethnicity, ranging from seniors to young people. Our branch is located near York University, so we have lots of contact with international and local students assisting with their financial needs. When this pandemic, COVID, started in March 2020, it was at first a shock to realize that the bank would remain open and our customer service would continue, and some transactions would have to be handled differently. Our clients have learned to use online and mobile applications for their banking transactions. Some have changed to this way of banking smoothly with no objections, and others not so much. This has caused my team and colleagues to motivate ourselves to educate our clients digitally, learning with care, empathy, and understanding. COVID has opened up my heart and my mind to appreciate and care for our clients, and for others I am at work with or within my own community. I am very happy to see and interact with my clients daily in making a difference in their lives. It's really nice to be recognized by my Barbadian community. I am very happy. I'm very pleased about this.
Adriana, you didn't give yourself enough credit for all that you do for this community. We thank you. Cool, calm, collected. The Right Excellent Sir Hugh Springer, rejected from being a teacher in London, didn't take it personally. Rather, he respected that they were straightforward. He didn't let that hold him back, though. Let's see what else he did for us.
The son of Florence Barrow and Charles Springer. I was born on June 22nd, 1913, the second of 3 boys. I was only 1 year old when my father died. My mother, Florence, left Barbados to work abroad and left me and my brother in care of our aunt, Florence. That made me a cousin of Errol Walton Barrow. I had received my primary education at Wesley Hall Boys. In 1931, I became a Barbados scholar in classics. I was called to the bar in 1938. Before I graduated, I applied for a teaching post through one of the firms of educational consultants and tutorial colleges in London. How they replied was disconcerting to say the least. My fee was returned and I was informed that no one of color would be recruited for a teaching post by them. My response, far from being bitter, with my twinkle eye and smiling face, commended them for their conduct in telling it as it was. Administration was my gift, and I organized and became the first General Secretary of the Barbados Workers' Union. It was absolutely clear to me that the government had an overriding responsibility to level up the inequalities of wealth and opportunity in Barbados. I purchased the first buildings that became the union's home. I also helped to structure the divisions of the Barbados workers. I also recruited Frank Walcott, who later became a national hero. My contribution to professional and political life was varied. It included being a member of the House of Assembly, General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, acting governor and governor general of Barbados, as well as serving as director of the Commonwealth Education Liaison Unit, Commonwealth Assistant Secretary General, and Secretary General of the Association of Commonwealth Universities. They bestowed 15 honorary degrees on me for my distinguished service, and in 1971, I was offered knighthood. In 1973, I received the Doctor of Laws honoris causa from the UWI, and in 1980 from the University of New Brunswick. In 1984, 3 years after my retirement from the post of Secretary General of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, I was called to serve as Governor General, and did so until 1990 when ill health forced me to retire. I would say goodbye to life a few months short of my 81st birthday, on April 14th, 1994, after which Sir Roy Marshall would come out, a great Barbadian and an exemplar of what we should all be. I speak the truth.
Unsung hero Heather Rollock, or Auntie Heather as I like to call her, is the devoted mother of Scott Reed, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at 3 months old. Scott was given a short lifespan, but thanks to the unrelenting love, care, and devotion provided by Heather, Scott has lived past his 30s and is 46 years young. I have had the pleasure of spending time with Scotty, and let me tell you, he is one of the loveliest, most happy people you will ever meet. And he's quite the ladies' man.
My name is Heather Rollock, formerly Heather Brewster. I was born in St. Michael, and I'm a graduate of Queen's College. In 1969, I emigrated to Canada with my family, and I started my career. My career spanned several sectors: insurance, banking, energy, and human resources. I'm part of the Caribbean Event family, which, among other charities, supports scholarships for Barbadian students seeking to further their education. I'm also a part of the Barbados-Canada Foundation for their scholarships as well. I'm also a member of the HCQC Alumni Association. First of all, I would like to say a heartfelt thanks to Team Barbados in Canada for being recognized. I wanted to give back to the community, and when Grant Morris's Caribbean Event established a scholarship fund in my husband's, John Rollock's, name, it was a pleasure to continue his legend because he was a great IT specialist in the Assistant Deputy Minister in the Ontario government. So to be a part of that was a very, very heartwarming thing for me to do. The BCF also has a John Rollock Scholarship, and community involvement is very important. It's always good to give back to the community whenever the occasion arises. So I was happy to do that. Most of my time is spent looking after my son, and from birth, and being challenged and nonverbal. I will just tell you some examples of what motivated me. First and foremost, I am a mom, and as all moms know, that comes with its own inherent motivation. But there was more of an urgency here. This particular role required me to research everything I could about cerebral palsy and the unique needs of the CP child, so that I could ultimately be the kind of mom Scott needed me to be. To quote one of our Caribbean heroes, Robert Nesta Marley, I'm sure you're all familiar with him, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice that you have." And I always remember those words. COVID has impacted me in the early stages because we had just arrived in Barbados, March 2020, and it turned our world and everyone else's upside down, eventually developing into a worldwide pandemic. Consequently, we missed our family gatherings and warm beach days that were not only therapeutic for Scott, but certainly an upliftment for all of our spirits. There was also the disruption of Scott's routine in terms of his interactions with others and his external activities. What has been strange and difficult for us all is even more acutely so for Scott. For example, everyone was now wearing a mask, no more visits with his personal support worker, and socially distancing as opposed to the usual hugging and kissing, which he'd become so accustomed to from other friends and family. I've discovered new strengths, and I'm energized knowing that I am needed. It's also affirming to know that Scott, now 46 years of age, has exceeded his life expectancy. In fact, he has more than tripled it. I am very proud of this. It's not been a thankless journey by any means. Rewards come in many ways, and I'm lucky to have been on this journey with God's blessings. When I really think about it, I sincerely believe that there are two purposes for me: to provide all the love, care, and attention for Scott, and secondly, to have the ability to share my experience with those who may have similar challenges, to give them hope and inspiration, because it can be a very lonely road. The path of my life has been one that was not traveled for recognition, but was done out of motherly obligation and love. Any recognition is nevertheless appreciated, but to be recognized as a Barbadian Unsung Hero in 2021, the inaugural year, is a very special acknowledgement indeed. And I thank you very much for this honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Biggie Irie.
Influenced by those who cross the seas. I am a man, yes a man, I have a portion. And with it, I gonna make something sweet. I had a little drop and I mix it up and I add a beat, just hype it up, sweet melody, yes I nice it up, and dash it heat and I light it up. Tell them this is my dominion. I am a sweet smoker magician. I gonna make ya sway away. Like sugar all over the beat. I had a little drop of love and I mix it up and I add a beat, just hype it up, sweet melody, yes I nice it up and dash it heat and I light it up. Tell them this is my dominion. I am a sweet smoker magician. I gonna make that sway away, sway away, sway away. Just call my name, God. Sway away, sway away. Something sweet we can dance to, have a soca romance to.
Now, I'm sure some of you are sitting back and watching some of these unsung heroes and thinking to yourself, man, so-and-so does do a lot of work for the community. I should have nominated them. Well, you still have a chance. Next year, Team Barbados in Canada will be having nominations again. So keep in mind all of those people who you think are doing amazing things in the community and deserve to be recognized. Hopefully, you might see me again. But we still ain't finished for 2021 yet. We have our final two national and unsung heroes. 1831 and Black Bajans can now vote. All thanks to the Right Excellent Samuel Jackman Prescott. Let's learn some more.
From enemy of the state to retired judge, is it necessary to repeat it again? I was an illegitimate child, the son of Lydia Smith, a free colored woman born in 1806 out of wedlock to William Prescott, a wealthy landowner. At that time, there was a rich white planter from St. Peter called Samuel Jackman, so they named me Samuel Jackman Prescott. How could I, when even as a man, I was publicly ridiculed for the circumstances of my birth? My response was, it merely reflected the nature of the society. I had one more flaw. I was a mulatto. The fact that I was literate gained me the position of editor on a number of the published newspapers. It was a massive platform from which I could spread the message of the planters who pursued policies which suppressed the blacks. My mission was to improve the conditions of the free colored and the liberation of the enslaved. Through that forum, I also encouraged free discussion on all topics concerning the laboring community, trying to unite the free colored, the apprentice workers, and the poor whites against the powerful planter class was not easy. I fought for all things I believed in, and the people began to love and support me when they realized my resolve to denounce abuses and support reforms that affected all classes. Having initiated the admission of free colored people to vote in 1831 was a significant marker along the struggle. From 1839, I was recommending that the universal adult suffrage be made law and was ridiculed by Parliament. On becoming the leader of the Liberal Party, a small group of white members who agreed with my policies, I went on for the next 20 plus years as an unofficial opposition to champion the cause of social justice. I had always demonstrated interest in the development of blacks and through educational programs, helping them to focus on and know their rights so that they could challenge the plantocracy. A local technical institute was named the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic. My face also appears on the $20 note of the Barbadian currency.
Unsung hero Shauna Husbands is an educator who demonstrated her passion for education both inside and outside the classroom. Shauna works diligently to ensure that all students learn in an environment that reflects who they are, their interests, needs, and experiences.
My name is Shauna Husbands. I'm an elementary school teacher with the Toronto District School Board. I've been working with them since November of 2010. I started off as a supply teacher and now I've been permanent for 6, going on 7 years. In that time, I've been teaching kindergarten. Yes, I always knew I wanted a career where I could give back and give to my community. So it was either going to be law or education. And I thought that education was a good fit for me based on my previous experiences working with children. I knew as an educator that I wanted to, my own experiences with education guide the way that I teach. And I always knew that I wanted to, promote like anti-racism, anti-bias, equity, and cultural relevance in my programming, but also to, as I've gained more comfort with that, support other educators with their journey as well. I was actually supposed to be in a leadership role this year, which would have allowed me to support a great number of teachers with their programming. It was something I was very excited about, but because of COVID, a lot of us had to pivot to online learning. So I've been teaching from home, kindergarten online, which has been very interesting. But I still have that passion for supporting. So when I was in the classroom, I would often have other teachers would come and visit my classroom to learn about programming. And that's something that I really missed this year. So a few other educators and we formed a collaborative where we were planning and helping each other, and we thought, how can we take what we've learned and share it back with other educators? So we started a network for kindergarten educators, supporting them with programming ideas that are grounded in equity and engagement for children. So that's how I've had to pivot this year. No teaching day is the same as the last. So you always have to be, thinking of different ways of doing things, and every child is different, every class is different. You always have to think of ways to meet and suit the needs and interests of the children that you're working with. So I think it's a very rewarding and inspiring job for sure, but challenging at the same time. When you're in the teaching field, your reward is often seeing the children progress or seeing them happy and engaged. Or again, like I said, when teachers would visit my classroom, getting feedback from them was always positive and uplifting, knowing that, maybe you can inspire even one person. So to be nominated for this award just shows me that, when you are doing a service, people do recognize it and appreciate it, even if you don't always feel recognized or appreciated.
For the last time tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Biggie Irie. Our final and only female national hero, the Right Excellent Sarah Ann Gill, is a woman after my own heart. When faced with adversity, she didn't lose her composure and allowed the Christian within her to lead the way.
Born in February 1795 to Joseph and Mary Ann Jordan, I was one of the second-class coloreds, a free-born mulatto. By age 28, I was widowed and a relatively new member of the Methodist Church in Barbados. Since 1760, Methodism had been introduced to the West Indies in Antigua by Nathaniel Gilbert. With much more formalism, it finally reached Barbados on December 4, 1788 with a visit from Dr. Thomas Cope, the great Methodist missionary and administrator. The next 30 years proved to be an uphill battle for the Methodists, who, while maintaining their calling, were working hard to convert the enslaved Africans to the Christian gospel. A group of young men banded themselves together to form what they called the Committee for Public Safety. Exactly 6 months to the day after the Slave Reform Act, they threw bottles filled with offensive mixtures into Reverend Shrewsbury's congregation. That was the beginning of activities that led to the complete demolition of the building by the same lawless gang on Sunday, 19th of October. By Christmas that year, more trouble loomed in the air. Not being allowed to assemble at my home, I received them by the 2s and 3s. The governor had requested my safety when a plot was uncovered that the Committee for Public Safety would demolish my home on the anniversary of the destruction of the chapel. The magistrates, although seemingly carrying out the governor's orders, were just seeking opportunity to arrest and charge me. Needless to say, I was transformed by trouble and remained resolute to express Christian charity and forgiveness to my persecutors. The only disturbance this committee was able to effect was the burning of 3 effigies, one of which represented me. This is the site of the present James Street Church. A chapel at Fairfield Road, Blackrock, was named the Ann Gill Memorial Church and was opened on August 26, 1990. This replaced the wooden chapel built at Eagle Hall, St. Michael, in 1893, the Gill Memorial Church. My life and service to the Methodist Church in Barbados is remembered by a headstone in the Garden of Remembrance in James Street. I am the lone female among the first 10 national heroes of Barbados.
Unsung hero Mike Hayward came to Canada in 1971. He spent most of his career working at Canadian Tire until he retired in 2006. He has served many roles on the board of his church in Brampton and currently serves as the deacon. For the past 27 years, Mike and his wife Jackie have called Brampton home. They have 5 children, 15 grandchildren, and 5 great-grands.
My name is Michael Hayward, and I am from Emerton Lane in Barbados. I want to thank you, first of all, for the recognition. And I must add that, I accept this on behalf of the thousands that at this time are doing the same thing that I'm being recognized for, who do it and are not recognized. So on behalf of them, and I accept it on their behalf as well. I came to Canada in 1971. And basically, I have divided my volunteer work into 2 sections. We're familiar with BC and AD, before Christ and after. So I've divided mine before I accepted Christ as my Savior and after, because there was a big difference in my volunteer work after I accepted Christ, and a lot more of it was done after that. So as I said, I came in 71, and I was a member of the Corrigan Parry Old Scholars Association, and I was a member there for about 10 years. So after, I also was a member of the Friends of Barbados, and that's the Barbadian Association. I was there approximately 5 years, and 3 of those years I was president. And prior to that, with the Children Pride Association, I was president for about 5 years. So now we switched to the after. I started off with St. Louis Food Bank. During that time, I came in touch with Woodhall Retirement Village. And I started a men's club there. And the idea was to get the men out of their rooms. Because you find in the retirement homes, there are all kinds of activities. The women will attend, they will sign up. From the time it goes up, the men will not. So that idea was to get the men out of their rooms, and we would play, darts or whatever the case might be. I also started a hymn sing because a lot of the ladies there, they could remember the old hymns. And also I would do a service on a Monday, the first Monday in the month, on the mornings, for those who wanted to attend. COVID has changed a lot of that. I'm unable to get to the nursing homes to see the shut-ins. But when you go to one of these retirement villages, and these people say thank you to you, it isn't just 2 words. They really mean thank you. Because a lot of these people, some families don't come to visit. But the main thing for them is that you've taken your time and you've come to visit them and to spend some time with them. And that is what keeps you doing it. And that is what motivates me to do it. And like I've said, I've missed that because of COVID.
Sheridan Holder has been recognized with the Award of Distinction. One could say that nursing is in her blood, as she follows the footsteps of her mother, who is a nurse practitioner. She has helped her community by serving as a volunteer with the Salvation Army during her years in college. Sheridan is looking forward to a long, fulfilling career dedicated to the service and well-being of her patients.
Hi, my name is Sheridan Holder. I graduated from Humber College in Toronto, Ontario, and I've been an RPN in long-term care for about 3 years. My motivation for being a nurse came when I saw the need in my community to provide holistic care to reduce suffering and provide and improve health for the people in my community. I believe that nursing is a work of the heart, and active nursing calls for compassion. And I believe I've always had the heart necessary to provide care to my patients. The desire to help people and relieve suffering is what drives me as a nurse. As the impact of COVID-19 on patients and the healthcare system began to manifest, nurses found ourselves in situations that we've never seen before. Frequently working long hours, limited access in the beginning to personal protective equipment, and changing protocols on how to care for patients who've tested positive for the virus. I believe there's also an emotional toll, which I found especially challenging, dealing with COVID-19 patients in isolation without access to visitors. We as nurses had to provide the emotional support to these patients and their families alike. The pandemic has deepened my belief that patients must be at the center of all we do, but the pandemic has also made it abundantly clear that we can't do that without ensuring that frontline workers are also supported. The autonomy of being a nurse allows me to feel secure and unashamed in who I am, regardless of what's going on in my life outside of work. I feel enjoyment and satisfaction in the present moment when providing care for my patients. I'm so glad to be accepting this award as a Barbadian citizen, and I thank you all.
Well, folks, that's it. We've gone through all of our 10 national heroes, our unsung heroes, and of course, our award of distinction. Let's take a look back at all who have been recognized tonight.
I say B, I say B-A, B-A-R, B-A-R-B, B-A-R-B-A-D-O-S, Barbados. I say I-L, I-L-O, I-L-O-V, I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U, I love you. Barbados, you mean everything to me. You're my tropical paradise.
Well, folks, that time has come. We are wrapping up for the evening. I'd like to thank you for welcoming me into your homes and your hearts tonight. I'd also like to thank our national heroes who paved the way for us. And a huge congratulations goes to all of our unsung heroes. I had a fantastic time and I hope you did too. Now, all that's left is for our vote of thanks.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be afforded the opportunity to move the vote of thanks for our We Gathering For Our Heroes event for 2021. I'm sure you would concur that we've done justice to our 10 national heroes and elevated in your minds the tremendous contribution by some right here in Canada. At the outset, we would want to acknowledge our Consul General, Sonia Marvel Carter, whose vision has brought this event into fruition. In spite of the prevailing challenges of COVID-19, she and the team, drawn from the High Commission and the agencies in the consulate, have worked tirelessly to execute this evening's event, and they're all to be commended for the sterling job done. A special word of appreciation to the legendary BDI, who continues to support the country team here in Canada and whose performance tonight was of the usual high standard. Special thanks to Alwyn Kirk and Monty Thomas, who have done much behind the scenes with their technical expertise, to Joseph Callender, an upcoming musical talent, and to our host for the evening, Reva Goodman, who guided us through tonight's undertaking and did much to promote the event in the weeks leading up to tonight. We extend our heartfelt thanks to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Ministry of Education, Central Bank of Barbados, the Barbadian Associations for their nominations, and the members of the diaspora for helping us to promote the event. As we reflect on where we are as a nation, we truly need to offer thanks to these heroes, both national and unsung, whose unwavering commitment to country and to service have enabled Barbados to come this far. Many would argue that as we look to the future, we do so with optimism, mindful that their work and varied contributions have the ability to inspire us all to higher heights as we follow in their footsteps in advancing our beloved Barbados.
Now remember, if you know someone in the community that you feel should be recognized as an unsung hero, you'll have your chance again next year. Team Barbados in Canada will be reaching out much earlier this time and making sure that you have an opportunity to recognize unsung heroes in your community. Now, if you want to stay on and have a little bit more fun and party, because I know I do, we've got some more big tunes from Master Mix Monty. So sit tight because he'll be on in just a few. Now, I hope that I get to see you again next year, and even if I don't, I'm sure I'll see many of you in passing. Take good care, stay safe, and Godspeed.
Shines in our hearts. Hey, it's our world. We must hold on hand in hand
and lift up our fellow man, showing love in every land.
Oh, oh, oh.
This is who we are. We know we can do this together.
We've been tested before. Out victorious we came.
What we know for sure, we will rise again.
Together, better, stronger.
When the world closed, our hearts opened. When fear ruled, love also deepened. When borders closed, boundaries widened.
With no choice, in one voice.
Let the whole world rejoice, from near and from far.
This is who we are.
Yeah. 'Cause this is who we are. Yeah. 'Cause this is who we are. Love bridge the distance between us. Let the whole world know that love is also infectious.
Love will always bring us together. Love will always see us through. This is who we are.